Logos POW!
Okay, today we're going to be taking a look at the Ouya Android console. It's an open source console which supposedly anybody can write games for. Download games on demand the same way you would from an App Store or Google Play. I didn't buy it for that. I bought it because it runs emulators. I was going to buy a Retron 5, but as it turns out the Retron 5 was a bit shit and was essentially a way of running real cartridges through an emulator anyway, so I opted to get something a bit more flexible in that respect, so I can load emulators onto this. As you can see, it's very, very small, about the size of a Rubik's Cube. Power button, fan, power socket, Ethernet cable, HDMI, USB and mini USB. It takes standard USB sticks, so that means you can load all your ROMs you want on that and play away to your heart's content. Joypad, bit painfully generic. Clicky buttons, Xbox 360 style layout, trigger buttons, bumpers, really quite dodgy analog pad. Digital pad, should I say. It takes 2 batteries, works on Bluetooth, gets a bit confused if the PS3 is turned on in the same room. Little bit of lag on it if there's a lot of RF cabling around your Ouya. And strangely enough, the lag dissipates if you put your Ouya like that. Very unusual, but it seems to work. But let's have a look at some of the games. Okay, here's the main screen of the Ouya. Play, discover, make, manage. Discover is essentially the shop where you can search for games to download. A lot of these are free, but with microtransactions, so that's a bit rubbish. There is I must try that actually. It's a very Spectrum-esque looking game. There we go. Very unusual looking Spectrum-esque sort of game. Let's go back. Some quite large titles. I mean, Final Fantasy 3's on there, the HD version of the DS port. Yeah, it's nice. There's nothing on there I'd really want to play. They did put arts like Double Dragon and the Raiden games on here for like $2.99 each. But since I already bought them on PSN, I'm really not that bothered. But yes, make is really for programming and sideloading, that sort of things. It's on this that I've got the PlayStation emulator working. We'll have a look at that in a moment. And manages settings, accounts, things like that. Okay, let's have a look. So, play. This is where I've got my emulators all set up. So you've got MAME, NES, SNES, N64, Game Boy Advance, Neo Geo, Doom, YouTube app, Mega Drive, NDS, I've not tried that yet, Game Boy Color, PC Engine, and Amazing Fog, which seems to be a mandatory download for this system. Very strange game. Okay, this game's a pretty good test of any Mega Drive emulator's metal. Contra Hardcore, coming in the later end of the Mega Drive's life cycle, throws a lot of shit at you. Strange thing is, the Ouya's pad doesn't have start and select buttons, so you have to use the R3 and L3 click buttons under the analog sticks to actually start and select games. So here we go. Now this is the Japanese version I'm playing, so it's got the blokes in it rather than the robots. It's also got a bloke who looks like my boss at work, giving away instructions. It's also, more importantly, not one-hit kills. If you get hit in this, you've actually got a life bar in this version of the game, which makes things a hell of a lot easier. The European and American releases, one-hit kills, so 3 lives, that's it, you've lost credit. And I've just managed to dodge all the power-ups as well. You can see it's handling the Contra Hardcore pretty well. How do you like that, Patbot? This battle would have been a lot easier if I hadn't skillfully managed to dodge all the special weapons. So we'll just play up to this robot dude. It's pretty impressive for a Mega Drive disc bit. Looks very happy, doesn't he? Well, not so happy now. Anyway, yes, that's the Mega Drive emulator. Pretty good that is too. Let's have a look at something else. Let's have a look at... Let's have a look at MAME. Now MAME's unusual on this. It works pretty well most of the time. But some things are slower than others, and there's no real rhyme or reason to it. Space Harrier runs very well. Outrun slows a bit, but Galaxy Force runs very well, even though it's potentially a more advanced game than Outrun is. Very unusual. Let's do a quick bash on Space Harrier. Input the credits.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
We'll just play up to the first dragon. Play up to the first dragon, and then whoever's watching can just make their excuses and leave, disappear, never to be seen again. There we go, that's MAME. Okay, now next we'll have a look at the SNES emulator. Run something quickly on that, just to see how that runs. What should we play? Let's have a go on old favourite, Castlevania. Possibly one of the, in my opinion, possibly the best Castlevania game. Okay. One good thing about this, if you exit a game on the Ouya and then you go back to it, like if you just saw then it said continue with game or restart, it automatically saves a snapshot of where you are on that ROM at that time. So if you're playing a game without a save mode, like McDonald Land for want of a better example, you can exit the game, turn the Ouya off, come back next day, day after, whenever, even after loading other games into the same emulator, and pick up exactly where you left off. It's automatic save states. It's really, really good. You can see this is good. It deals with this really well. Wobbly whip. I'm not getting much controller lag at the moment, it's a little bit, then again I am surrounded by a ton of electrical equipment here. There we go, that's Castlevania. Right, some of you, I'd imagine, would be pretty eager to see what N64 games run like. They're not fantastic. They're sort of playable, but they're definitely not fantastic. I'm going to load up the Mario 64 ROM. Actually, no, let's Super Mario Kart actually. This is a bit more processor intensive, so it's not quite as smooth as the 16-bit consoles. That's got a weird button layout. So one of the face buttons brings up the menu. The start button, I don't even know where the start button is. The start button's the top face button. And you can already hear the music's growling a bit. It's nice and high res, I'll give it that. To be honest, through this camera and on YouTube, it'll probably just look like the N64 version with a load of Vaseline smeared on the screen as per usual, but from here the backgrounds are very, very sharp. The sprites are a little blurry, but then again, that's to be expected from an N64 game. And I've opened the menu again by accident because it's in a really dark place. Even now too. Oh, there's my shells. Take that, Donkey Kong, you bearded git. Here comes Yoshi. I hope he jobbed that gel. And speed boost. Oh yeah, not too shabby on the old emulation front for that. Let's exit this. Auto saving the game. Very nice of it, it is too. Okay, the last thing I'm going to quickly look at is something I've side-loaded onto the Ouya. It's an unofficial Android PlayStation emulator. It works pretty well. It's runs things at a failed whack. We've got Ridge Racer Revolution on here. Funny thing about Ridge Racer Revolution, it's got Red Book audio instead of streamed audio. Which means that the game actually has no music while you're playing it. I'm sure it's something that there's a setting missing or something I've got to do with to get this to work. But be a bit of a quiet run, so I'm going to keep it brief. But before that, we've got some galactic dancing. True factoid, Namco copyrighted the use of playable minigames on loading screens, which is why you don't see them very often, because people would have to pay Namco for the privilege. Not that many games have loading screens these days. There we go, Ridge Racer Revolution. Game starts. Let's select a racetrack. Let's have a car with a bit of drift. Slice. Okay, let's have a quick lap of this.
3, 2, 1, go! Great start! Now go for the lead! 3 laps to go!
Good bit of drifting there. Bad bit of drifting there.
Watch your back!
I think we should have a parappa the rapper sort of you drifting good, you drifting bad sort of thing. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Oh, that was absolutely dreadful. But yes, that's Ridge Racer running on the PlayStation 1 emulator there. And pretty good it is too. But yes, that's the Ouya. Very nice little bit of kit. Cost me about £60 off eBay. Already had the ROMs downloaded, just took a second to dump them onto a USB stick. The emulators were all free, they're freeware. Yep, highly recommended. If you want something which isn't a Retron 5 to run retro games on a HD television, you could go for this. You could do worse. I don't know. You could do better. You'll probably put in the comments what is better. Thank you in advance for that. And there we go. Signing off and switching off. Here, subscribe on NAFO.